Hello and welcome to the One Time Podcast, where we cover things one time and one time only. I'm your host, Michael. I'm joined by my friends Tatiana, Ono, and Izzy. Yeah, we're starting now. So, how's it going?
Pretty good. I'm good, actually. Wonderful.
Alright.
Terribly okay.
Terribly okay. You know, it's a Sunday afternoon right now, and I don't want to go back to school. So, so let's get started. So, what do you guys think makes a good teacher?
Honestly, what makes a good teacher is where they can talk to you, like, level to level. They can, relate, you can relate to them
Right.
in ways that you can't relate to other teachers. I think what makes a good teacher is that they'll teach you lessons that you can carry through life. Instead of giving us a typical, bull spit about, do this and that, and so on and so forth.
Alright.
I guess I'll just go ahead.
The teacher is, I'm gonna use my own teachers as an example. The ones who bring light when they teach the class, they bring life stories in to help make the lessons easier. Like the chef that I had way back, one of my first classes when I first started baking, he would teach us the things, but then he would also go, okay, well, to help you learn this, here's an example from blah 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 blah. I think that makes a good teacher instead of just reading straight out of the book.
Right.
Which is pretty much what most teachers do to begin with. Well, not even my teacher. She just reads right off her slideshows. But the current teacher I have is better than the one I had last semester because this teacher actually gives you the resources to actually succeed the course. That for me, that plays a big role when it comes to whether or not you have a actual good teacher or not. Because while your teacher might be, really cool or might relate to you in some way, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll pass the class just through that idea. And they might be more lenient on work, but other than that, if you don't have the tools to necessarily succeed the class and the teacher isn't providing to you, then they're a horrible teacher.
Ooh, strong
When
words.
I was in high school, I had a math teacher who was our football coach. His name was Mr. Chidwell.
Mm-hmm.
He would always teach us lessons through math. He would write the problem on the board, and then he'd make examples of the problem, and then he'd put little inserts in. I think we're watching Blindside as a class. He wanted us to learn math through Blindside, so after the movie, he started giving us problems, math problems that involved Blindside and football and how his personal reality was. And a lot of football players related to that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or the one time where he showed us another movie, I forgot what it was called, but he started saying how does this make y'all feel, what problems should be resolved in this, and we tell him, and then he makes it into a math problem, and then that's how I passed my math classes, because of him. Same with my history teacher, my world history teacher.
It made it easier for you to actually, understand the class and have fun with it at the same time. It's not just, you come to class, you work, and you go home. Because, honestly, for a lot of people, that also would make it very difficult to, enjoy the classroom experience. Because when you get to college, you're actually paying your money for the class. It makes it an even bigger deal. Because, okay, now you're paying money. It's a little different than just going to high school or something.
Right.
Or them teaching you useless shit that you really don't need in really don't need in life. I understand they're trying to teach us and get us ready for the future and whatnot. But when you have a boring lesson, none of it sticks to the student's brain.
Right. So, in a way, so what makes a good teacher in your guys' eyes is more of if you can relate to them on a personal level rather than them just being super distant and super far apart from each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
it helps.
Would there be a line per se for if they are too friendly with you, or if they're not as professional as they should be?
Of course.
Of course. You're my teacher. You're not my best friend. Yes, it helps knowing you on a personal level somewhat, but I'm also going to school to learn. I'm not going there to hear about what problems you're having in your marriage. I'm not going there to hear about this, that, and the other in your life. Like, if it's things that's related to the lesson, that's aces. But anything else, then it's just like, I'm not here for that.
All right.
My
I ain't
thing
coming for that. I
is,
just came here to learn.
you can have a personal relationship with a teacher as long as it's not inappropriate.
That too. That too.
All right. So
Because
what?
you know how some of these kids nowadays are like, oh, well, I want to get close to my teacher, and they become my best friend, and then they're on the news the next day because they had romantic feelings for their teacher
All
and it
right.
went too far. I'm not saying like people shouldn't be friends with their teacher, because you should have that comfortable like boundary with
Right.
said teacher.
Right.
Because I know I did with my world history teacher, Mr. Bottenwick, and Mr. Gaffney and Mr. Usner. I always was close to them. I always came to them with problems, and they would help me through it. But it's inappropriate when you and the teacher are hanging out outside of school, in a public place, or at their house.
It depends on the age bracket, in my opinion. If we're talking about college, it can vary. But if we're talking about high school, then that level of friendship should never even be attained. The furthest they would go is, okay, that's a cool kid, that's a cool teacher, and they throw a few jokes or whatever, but no further than that at all. Under any circumstances at all. Maybe the teacher can be cool with the parent of that student, but other than that, then no. That's a big no.
All right. So on to the next topic. What do you guys think makes a bad teacher?
Oh boy.
Someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, for an example, I had a teacher in college right now, last semester, before I started the whole actual baking classes and such. I had a teacher who will go, oh, you know what? Don't pay attention to anything that's in the book. And she would try to teach it her way, and she wouldn't know what she's talking about. So by the time that the class got to their quizzes and their tests or their essays, we're completely lost. We had to teach ourselves in order to pass that class, and we used the book that she would tell us to discard. So
I think what makes a bad teacher is when you come in with an attitude.
Oh.
Like, you come in mean mugging. Like, you just come in upset. Like, I understand everyone got their bad days, but when it's every day you are, like, so evil to your children, it makes them question, like, why are you teaching? Like, for example, I had an English teacher. She did not like any of us. No reason. She just came in, stared at us, said that we were dumb and pathetic, said that this class would get us into college if we were smart enough. It's when you belittle your kids. It's when you embarrass you single one kid out in front of the whole class.
I mean, that doesn't really seem to be too much a big deal to me, because you can have whatever type of attitude you want with me, as long as you're teaching that lesson and I understand it.
Well,
I don't care what the hell you say. Excuse my language.
Is when they come in mean, but they don't teach us nothing. They just come in, tell us to get the book out and read. They don't interact with us. They don't do anything. They just tell us, look at the notes and read, and stay quiet for how long this class is. Or when a teacher singles out a kid and embarrasses them and bullies them. Like, I know what you guys know what I'm talking about, is when those teachers who think they're hot shit, mind my language, and they're friends with the popular kids, and they all single out the one weird kid in the corner.
That would be more of a poorly trained teacher, in my opinion, because You would think throughout all the exams and everything and regulations they go through that they would note that that's something you don't do. So,
But they still
um,
do.
yeah, that's because the system is able to be have its flaws, which while it hurts to say that it happens, but it's just you can have a teacher like that who is I'm all about the cool kids or I'm all about having this attitude or this aura, but at the end of the day, as long as I'm passing the class and I understand the material and I can graduate, like I said, you can be and act however you like.
But what I'm saying is, you should also make your students feel comfortable and not fear to come to class.
Yeah, you should also care about your students. I'm not saying like try to be like their adopted father or anything, but shoot, even hell, that's cool. Like when you ain't got that kid who doesn't have that father figure and you're there to motivate them or whatever, that's cool too. But it's just like you gotta have someone who actually cares about the kids, because there's kids. I've gone to like schools where there's kids who ain't have anybody who actually showed that they wanted them to go places. So they just pretty much kept screwing up their whole life because nobody was there to guide them. So you sit there and you have those asshole teachers, sorry for my language, you sit there and you have those teachers who don't care, and they're also contributing to the fact that they're behaving the way that they are. You ain't really helping them. You're not helping the new generation out. It's just like, why are you a teacher?
Just like in middle school, my brother had this teacher. My brother was hitting puberty. He didn't really know how to take care of himself yet. And the teacher, instead of guiding him to, this is what you do, this is how you smell good, this is how, you smell in public, she would sit at her desk, look at my brother, and make fun of him with the other student. She would put him down and then embarrass him in front of the other students and the other teachers, and laugh at him and call him names with the other students. I think it makes a bad teacher when you act like one of the students, and at that point you should just lose your job. If you're just sitting there picking on kids who don't even who need guidance, you deserve to lose your job.
Instead of trying to put an end to the bullying, you're like contributing to it. Yeah.
All right. Because it's like sometimes in school too, because I'm a student as well, I'll go through school and I'm like, okay, there's some classes that I can tolerate and there's some classes I enjoy, and then there's some classes that I just wish I could skip. But at the same time, it's more or less like, I feel like if they got to know me or I got to know them as a person, more or less, would there be a kind of difference? Which transitions into the next question about, is there some type of way for, even if you do have a bad teacher in that matter, is there some kind of way that you can correlate into like some kind of agreement for like, if you can relate to them in some kind of way?
My honest opinion is that the best next step, if they have this or where they're not only being a horrible teacher, but also have this attitude with them, is, for me, if I was I'm in college now, but if I was in high school, my next step would be to address this with a guardian or a parent, because that's unacceptable, not even on just a level as a teacher, but as a person in general. You don't treat you, and they will have a word with my guardian regarding this, because you're not going to sit here and treat me like less than that of trash. And I'm just here to learn. I'm not here to goof off.
Alright.
But I'm not sure, maybe Tati has another comment on this one.
I spaced out entirely. What was the question again?
So the third question.
Jesus.
Third question. Oh no, I can't find the third question.
If there's any way that you can relate towards a teacher, do you think that could alleviate some type of, their type of mood or something or whatever?
Well, yeah. Like, think about it like this: if you're a teacher that's always mad, and you come in and your students are like, "Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. So and so," and they're being nice and they're trying to make your day better, that would probably lift up your mood and make you want to be a teacher. I have known teachers throughout my life that tell me all the time, "My kids are so important to me. My kids make me happy." I don't even like. I had a teacher who sat there with me for 15 minutes and cried and told me that, she's never had kids. She's been married and never had kids, but the kids that she teaches, she feels like they are her children because she is teaching them how to live life, what to do, how to motivate yourself, how to take care of yourself when, your parents aren't there, or for God forbid if something happens to your family. So, people know that you're taken care of. I think, students and teachers should have that level of respect. And I'm not saying that all teachers are saints. I'm not saying all students are saints, because there are some students who make it their day to terrorize a teacher.
Alright, so you think there's some type of respect issue between students saying, "Oh, this teacher's really this," or "this student's really this," Because my dad's a teacher, and sometimes, and I went to go observe his class the other day, and sometimes these kids just look miserable, or they're just making fun of my dad, or they're just joking together, and I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting, because it's okay, so some of these students are really passionate about what they're doing, or they can understand where my dad's coming from, or they can even just in total believe on what they're doing in the classroom, rather than saying, "Wow, I really hate this teacher and he hates me, so blah 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 blah," and whatnot.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm gonna call it here. This was the One Time Podcast. I was joined by people that I'm friends with, and thank you.